A big segment and a topic I want to get into today is breaking news that came out today. I'm going to read the exact reports that came out from ESPN sources and more specifically Woj that came out this morning. All right, this is the exact tweets. I'm going to quote from Woj right now. The NBA's competition committee has recommended stricter guidelines on resting players for national television games and multiple stars together in the same games. The league's board of governors expected to vote Wednesday to pass the measures. Under new rules, teams would be fined $100,000 for a first violation, $250,000 for a second violation, and $1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional violation. Sources tell ESPN. Quote unquote, Woj from ESPN. Okay. I like this. I like this a lot. We've talked about the impact of resting players in the NBA. Now, I get this is a very long NBA season. We go through this, and these players are going through a tough season. I think it's the hardest season to go through in sports. Here's why. Football is the hardest game to play game by game, on a game-by-game basis on your body. No disputing that. However, it's 16 games, or 17 games, my apologies, and if you play postseason, you get up to 20. In an entire season. NBA is a very, very physical sport, very, very grueling on your body, and you play that 82 times plus the postseason if you so do play that. And some people will be playing 83 if we have the tournament this year. That's not easy on your body. The traveling, the constant traveling, all this stuff, it is a very grueling season. So the fact of the matter is that these guys have been resting players, and I understand from an aspect of a team standpoint, okay, we can rest these guys. We'll take an L here. Maybe we even get lucky and we get a win here, but we get our stars rested up to go play in a game that matters more and matters when we get to the postseason. Now, does this work all the time? No, not necessarily. But I get the point where these teams are coming from. But what we see happen here now is that Paul George, Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers. We know that's been a very controversial topic. They can't be resting both now. LeBron AD, same situation. And I'm not going to list everyone. The list goes on. Every single player and star is there. And I saw somewhere else that what we determine as a star is a guy that has been in the past 3 years an All-NBA selection or an All-Star. So therefore, that's what we're going to call as a star. It does not mean someone from before, whatever. If you're a former All-Star from 5 or 6 years ago, it does not matter. So it's a star that's been in the league or been an All-Star and All-NBA selection over the past 3 seasons. So what does that tell me? That means that the NBA is finally going to stricken up and get locked in on what exactly needs to occur here and eliminate guys from resting in these games. Now, there could still be rolling resting. If you look at the rules here, it needs to be multiple players, multiple star players. Therefore, one guy could be sitting out, one guy is still playing. But you can't be resting them both out on nationally televised games, which is good for the game. I think that has been a problem. It's a tough balance. Like I said, I feel on both sides. I get where these guys are coming from. The guys need some rest from their bodies. It is not easy. It's tough, and you really want to save that body up for when it matters in the postseason. But at the same point, we have people giving money, using their time. It's hurting the brand of basketball because star players are not playing. And we see guys like Anthony Edwards come out and say that he's never going to be in that situation. He does not want to be resting. We see a lot of different guys say that. And I'm all for that. Now, I know that when you get older, things change a little bit. So we'll see if Ant still has the same mindset in so many years. I do think he's the type of guy that will, though, so I'm not going to challenge that. But we will see what ends up unfolding there. But the fact of the matter is that there will be a much stricter guidelines now because teams are not going to want to pay millions of dollars to sit players out. It is what it is. You're not losing that type of money. So whatever ends up unfolding here, we'll see. This will be voted and approved upon on Wednesday. We'll see if it ends up actually occurring. However, the fact is that the NBA is tightening up on this measure, and the hope is that this is going to help the game grow and stop these players from consistently sitting out and resting games. We're going to see more star players playing on national televised games. When fans go to games, their star players should hopefully be playing more and more often now. And if you have an injury, that's obviously just different. They means the actual resting standpoint. So that has been a problem in the NBA. It has hurt the brand of basketball. I see both sides, but this hopefully is something that can change. Because if you can say, if you're the Clippers, I'm just going to use an example because they have been typically discussing this situation. You could have Kawhi sit out a game if Paul George is playing and vice versa. So we'll see how teams maneuver this. I'm sure teams will always find a way to get around the rule a little bit and figure out their own way to get it done. But we shall see. And also, ultimately, we also know the 65 rule, which means you have to play 65 games at least to qualify for an NBA all conference or all NBA selection for an MVP, defensive player of the year, et cetera, et cetera. You need to play at least 65 games. That rule has also been put into place because of the collective bargaining agreement that came into place this past offseason. So the NBA is clearly tightening up on this stance, and hopefully it pays dividends. Hopefully we see some change going